beauties, it's Brittany and welcome back to my channel today. So as many of you know, I picked up the Tati Blendiful when it first launched, and Tati actually has since uploaded her video talking about application of the tool, like how to use the tool to apply your products, as well as talking about how to clean your tool properly. And if you follow me over on Instagram, I did a couple stories talking about my experience so far with the Blendiful, because I did order two and one of them ended up tearing. So I have a slight little rip in my Blendiful, and I had only had it for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and I had hand washed it twice. Very gently with some gentle organic soap, just massaging the tool, but I did squeeze the tool. And I think since Tati uploaded her video and I've watched it, something that's really important for this tool is to make sure that you're always like pressing it dry and patting it with the towel versus kind of squeezing it. I didn't do any wringing, but I did like squeeze it like I do a beauty blender. So I am not going to be doing that any further. I did reach out to customer service the day that I saw it happen, then jumped over to Twitter, saw some other people also had the same issue. So I found it a little bit alarming when they didn't respond in a few days, and then they asked for a picture and the order number twice, which I thought was a little bit weird. Not twice, I had already given it to them and then they asked for it in the email. But from Tati's video, it seems like people were reposting pictures of it being ripped, like the same image over and over. So not sure anything in regards to all of that besides what Tati mentioned and my own personal experience, but I don't want to get all wrapped up in any sort of drama. I just want to share with you mine ripped. Took customer service a few days to respond. They asked for a photo and order number, completely normal, and then they did end up replacing the item for me. They sent me a new Blendiful and a baby Blendiful, and they like expedited the shipping, so it got to me in like 2 days. So with all of that kind of out in the air, I want to talk today about the application that I have been experiencing with the Blendiful tool. Since I have had the tool for a little length of time here, I've had the ability to play with the tool with different products and application methods, as well as washing it, and not machine washing it, but hand washing it. And since Tati uploaded her video, I'm using barred soap as opposed to like a liquid soap that I was using, which makes sense because I use barred soap on my beauty blenders. So definitely the best method for removing and breaking down things like liquid makeup and kind of heavy duty concealers. I'm going to show you application today, but the ones I have in my hand right now are wet because I did the application and then I washed them. This is definitely a tool you want to wash sooner rather than later because you don't want the makeup to sit in the tool for too long, and it is easier to get out if you do it right away as opposed to kind of letting it sit overnight. Tati does say that you can also blow dry this if you need it with a, like if you need it quickly afterwards, like if you've forgotten to wash it right away or the night before, because you don't want to use this tool wet. I have attempted to use it wet and it really does just pick up a lot of product on the skin versus applying it smoothly, which I was just kind of testing things out. So you do want to use this on your skin cleaned and dried. Now when it comes to the one that's ripped, I'm going to try to use it for as long as I can. I might try to sew it myself, but it's such a small little product and I am definitely in no way a seamstress, but it did seem to happen like right where the little handle that's here meets the tool. It happened maybe like a centimeter above that, and looking at it today, it is extending downwards a lot further than it was previously, and I hadn't even noticed that it was ripped the day of. It was like the next day I picked it up to use it and was very surprised. So let's look at the new tool that I have with no rips or tears. This is what I used today to apply the products on my skin. So I first went in with a primer. So the first product I applied with the Blendiful is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And I'm not somebody who always wears primer, nor am I somebody who always gravitates towards a pore filling primer. Typically I go with just like a nice hydrating primer to make sure my skin is nice and hydrated before foundation. But Tati specifically mentioned that this is a good tool to use with pore filling primers, so I gave that a try today and it did work really beautifully. I pressed the tool around the nose area where the pores are the largest, so I did apply this around the nose area as well as the part of the cheek that is kind of right next to the nose. I don't bring it too far out, but really pressed the tool and the product into the skin that way. And I did go in directly into the product and then patted it on the back of my hand, just as Tati mentioned in her video, which is why I think it was so helpful for her to post that video. And Tati does talk about her delay in posting that video, so if you want to see and hear all of that, please just head over to her channel. But the thing that was most helpful for me was actually seeing the person who created the tool using it, like how she moves her hand on the tool, how she manipulates the products, and that really did adjust the way that I used the tool to the best of its abilities, where before I was using it in a similar fashion but not really getting like the most out of it that I could, because there is different moments when you need to like press versus swipe versus like kind of swipe press. Like there are different motions that you can do with this tool that will take a little bit of time to bring into your wheelhouse. So while it is an intuitive tool and I was able to use it pretty seamlessly before she posted, I find since she posted I have a whole new set of tools in my tool house so that I can best use this Blendiful. So I took the Blendiful right into the primer, patted it on the back of my hand, and then pressed the primer onto the skin, focusing, like I said, nose area and top of cheek. And then I went in with foundation. I used my Believe Beauty foundation. I used the shade Linen in this in case anyone is curious. And first I swept the product on one half of my face, and then I really just kind of patted and pushed and pressed and just manipulated the foundation into the skin in the best way that I felt like I could, and kind of changing the way that I was holding the tool depending on where I was on the face. So like in the nose area, pinching it a little bit tighter so that the tool wasn't as thick. And that is what is nice about this, is that you can make it into, as Tati mentioned, like a little taco, so you can put your pointer finger or your ring finger or your middle finger, whatever you feel most comfortable with, right into this tip of the taco, and then you can use that to press product into the skin. I do find I have a very small hand, so when it comes to tools and different things that might work really, really well for other people, I find that my hand can not hold it as great as if my hands were a little bit longer or my fingers were a little bit longer, but I am able to use this tool, and I feel like the pressure that I can get with my pointer finger is best for me when it comes to application. So I did apply that on the forehead as well as the cheeks, the chin, down the jaw, and I did really make sure that I got like behind that ear area that Tati mentioned is a little bit hard to get sometimes. So I do appreciate that this is very malleable and flexible, and you can really kind of just get the tool into all those little crannies of the face. And then I remembered I did want to go in with contour before my foundation, so I didn't layer up too much foundation, and then I went in with my Chanel Tan de Chanel bronzer, and I brought that in the hollows of the cheeks, down the nose, forehead, jaw. I definitely would have preferred to do this before any foundation, but like I said, I did forget, so I was working with what I had. So I did find I was able to pinch the tool small enough so that I could get kind of on the side of my nose without it getting too like large and in charge, because the point is to slim the nose, not to bronze the whole nose so that we draw attention to it. So I did find I was able to pinch it enough so that I could really kind of just focus on the sides of the nose. And I do want to mention that I have used this day to day when it comes to getting ready like super quickly, and I've actually found that yes, I did this whole full face today to show like you can use it with all of these different types of products, but on day to day when I'm getting ready in like a 10 or 15 minute time span, it has made applying my products like really quickly, really effortless, and just blends out really, really easily and quickly, which is what I need day to day, which I think is part of the beauty of this tool. So moving on, I did use it to blend out my under eye concealer. I used the Jeffree Star concealer, C4 and C7, lighter and darker, to really help kind of just match and highlight at the same time. So I used that under the eyes, and then I used my Makeup Obsession concealer on the rest of my face just to cover up blemishes. You guys know I love my NARS Soft Matte Creamy Concealer, but since I messed up with the darkness of the contour and the NARS concealer is slightly too dark, I didn't want to like mess with too much of that. And adding the concealer and a little bit more foundation on top of the Chanel Tan de Chanel helped it blend better overall on the skin. And I wanted to use this with cream blush today. Now, cream blush isn't something that I go to day to day, but it is a product that I really like when I'm trying to extend the wear of my makeup, and I wanted to see how this tool applies the cream blush, because my face is very round but also very small. Like I'm only 4'11", like I'm a tiny human, so my features are very small, and tools like this, like I'm sure for other people it's quite large as well compared to like their face shape, but I don't know, for me, I just look at this and I'm like, how am I gonna pinpoint bronzer and blush so that it's not like too overwhelming? And you just have to really pinch the tool, because if you leave it you know, too large and you get the cream product or whatever product you're trying to apply on too much surface area, it is gonna intensify where the product goes on your face, and you might get it too low or too high. So you really need to make sure before you put the tool on your face that you have it in the shape that you want it and the amount of surface area you want going on your face, which is just going to come with kind of using the tool over time. And something I have done with this is baking, so I know the tool can do that. I did switch to the other tool, but you could also switch to the other side of the product. If you didn't have two of these, you could definitely make one work. I was making one work before I was sent another one, so you could just flip the handle to the other side and use the clean side for your powder products. So I did bake with this today under the eyes, along the sides of the cheeks, like underneath my contour, and then I just used a brush to kind of sweep the product away after it had sat for a minute. And I did use this today for my powder bronzer, which I had not tried before, and I used my Marc Jacobs bronzer, and I did find it was weird. Like, it was definitely a weird way to apply my bronzer, because I've never applied it like that before. So that's going to be the case with any new application method. If it's your first time doing something, it might not go exactly as you intended, or it might feel a little bit weird. So that is a part of my routine that I do want to try to incorporate this Blendiful tool more frequently in, but today for like the first attempt I got it too low down, which doesn't flatter the face. It can actually drag the face down versus lifting it up. So I think my error was I didn't squeeze the tool enough, and I got it put the product on too wide of a surface on the Blendiful itself. So I would just focus more on kind of pinching the tool, then applying the powder, and then pressing it onto the face in a more concentrated method, because I found it got down too low. But that's an easy fix. I just went in with my powder and just kind of helped to blend those types of things out, and I did get too low on my forehead, so I had to kind of work that as well with some powder, but nothing that a little powder and some blending can't solve. And then I went in with highlighter with this tool, and I have used it for highlighter before, and I definitely found I needed to pinch it a lot smaller and use a more concentrated area of the tool so that it doesn't get too far down on your cheeks. So I think when it comes to using the tool as a layman or somebody who didn't create the tool and doesn't use it all the time, it is going to take a little bit of time to figure out how you need to bend and move and manipulate the tool to best suit your face shape, because everybody's face shape is so different. So the way that I kind of pinch it or move it might not work exactly for you, just as the way that Tati pinches it and manipulates the tool in her video might not be exactly right for me. So it does just come with using the tool overall, but it blends everything out really beautifully. It's fantastic for those days when you need to get ready very quickly. I've used it time and time again so far in those instances where I need, you know, my full face on in less than 15 minutes. So I do love that fact about it. And I've been able to clean mine really well with a barred soap. I used a Dr. Bronner's barred soap. I'll have it listed in the information bar below. And I didn't really show the mini Blendiful. I actually really haven't used this a whole lot. It's a lot thicker in consistency, a lot more dense of a tool, and I could have played with it for you know, my concealer, my powder today, and maybe I should actually try this out for blush, since my cheeks need a less concentrated surface area, so maybe I could give it a try for that. I use the mini beauty blender for cream blush, so it would make sense for me to use something like this. And she does say that this is nice to just keep in your handbag and kind of use throughout the day to help blend things out. It's so soft, and I have cleaned this as well. They definitely have like a different consistency and bounce to them. They do both have that really soft fabric on top, but the Blendiful Mini is definitely more firm and concentrated and dense, which Tati has also mentioned. So I hope my experience was helpful to you and helped cue you into some of the ways that I've been using the Blendiful tool, and let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the whole tool release. I have been a fan and will continue to be a fan of Tati Beauty. I love the eyeshadow palette. It's what I have on my eyes today. I've used it so frequently since purchasing it and love it. Like, truly love that eyeshadow palette. Had a little hiccup with the Blendiful tearing and an issue with customer service taking a little bit of a length of time to get back to me, but the issue was resolved. It's not like nobody ever responded, so I'm definitely going to continue to support Tati Beauty, and I love her innovation. I think that she's smart with her releases. She's releasing things that are causing some drama because they are new, they are different, they are going to make people talk. You know, it's not just your standard releases here and there. Like, it is an eyeshadow palette, but even the eyeshadow palette had different features to it, so it's going to kind of create some buzz, which is good. So I think that we should all continue to talk about the unique features of the things that Tati's releasing, and just keep a positive mindset for not only Tati, but you know, just keep some positive vibes going in your life overall. And we can't make everything feel as if it's the end of the world. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys.